I know why they'd want to come back. Because if we love on them like God loves on us, they can't help it. They just can't help it. Or like Peter would say, happy. I love this guy, man. I even talked like him a little bit in Oregon, and people look at me like, what? If we love them like Christ loves us, they're going to come back. The challenge is, how do we get them in here? So the servants went out to the streets and gathered all the people they could find, both good and bad. You mean like gangsters and stuff? That would qualify as bad to me. Do you know that a gangster that turned his life over to God is just as important as Billy Graham? You mean God would use us to reach into the heart of people that are unreachable? Who's unreachable? I know that many, many people would have said that there's no way that this boy could ever get saved. And there's probably some of you same way. People say, oh boy, they are way away from being a Christian. Who is beyond our Father's reach? So it said both good and bad, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Guys, my challenge to you is whatever it takes. Whether it's these cards, whether you just like to talk to people one-on-one, we need to start focusing on lost people, hurting people, people that have been devastated by this world. The second thing we've got to do is we've got to be relational. I remember when I was in my mess, the last thing that I wanted to hear is some geek with a tie on telling me how I could live my life. Man, I was a drug addict. I didn't want to hear some counselor who's been to college tell me. Or some youth group kid tell me that if I get saved, I will never have any more problems again. A kid who had never lived anything outside of his church. What I needed to hear was from somebody who was rescued from the abyss like me. I want somebody that had lived where I'm living. Somebody that's only goal in life is to get that next hit. Now that I could relate to. And so guys, we have got to be able to relate to lost people. Because all of us were lost. There was a time when I used to love to do prison ministry and jail ministry. I was really surprised that I could actually get back into the prison that I did my own time in to minister to people. I never thought they'd ever let me, especially with a record, that they'd let me back in there. But one of the things that stuck with me is when I went back in there talking, they just let me kind of like have free run of the place, and I thought that was kind of unusual. Most of the time nowadays, if you go into prison ministry, you go in there with a team. You got to stay in one place, you know. But with me and with us back then, is before they had all these rules, and we was able to just mingle with the people. And so I would be walking out in the yard with these guys, and I remember, see, things had changed a bit since I was there. You know, there was a building that was gone, and they had put up a lot of fences and stuff, you know, and So I was just out talking to the inmates, and I said, and they had no idea I was ever an inmate there. And I said, guys, I said, man, this place has sure changed a bunch. They said, oh, you've been here before. I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been here before. And then I said, I was an inmate here before. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, man. I started out in the R units right over there. So I remember this, there was a field out here, a football field, and I remember one time there was a cop that, he asked me, he said, Kenny, he said, I know you guys make Pruno. Now Pruno is jailhouse booze. And there's all kind of ways of making it, but you can get all kind of stuff, orange peelings and all kinds of stuff, and put them in a bag, and you put them behind your locker, and that bag will just sit there and kind of work, you know. And the way you know you got the booze is because this bag kind of expands, and it'll start pushing your locker away from the wall. And so you mark the floor. And when the locker gets to that point, you know it's time to drink. Well, this guy said, now I know that you know how to make Pruno. I said, how do you know that? And he goes, I know. He said, Kenny, he said, off the record. I'm going, yeah. Off the record, I'd like to taste some Pruno. I'm going, dude. I mean, if this ain't a blatant setup, I don't know what is. He said, no, I give you my word. I just want to taste it. Okay. So the next day I went out and brought him a little sample. Sure didn't taste like what he had on the shelf at home. We were having a relational thing. I didn't get in trouble. I mean, you know, what are they going to do to me? Throw me in prison? You know? These inmates totally changed. When I told them, I said, guys, there used to be a building right there that's gone now. And these fences and stuff, they weren't there before. And they're like, what? See, I put myself in a position where I know what you're going through. And my life is living proof of what your life can be. See, I've been in prison. I know what it feels like to be in chains. I also know what it feels like to be free. Free is better. I told him, I said, you know, guys, one thing I learned is I would never give anyone this kind of authority on my life ever again. Never again. You guys have no idea. The simplest things you can think of that you don't even consider. You might want to pull into McDonald's and get a hamburger. Would they do that? You have nothing. These are the kind of people. People are in more bondage on the streets than they are in prison. Who is going to reach them? Why not us? Why not? Do you think God would not like it if we got our hands dirty? I think we need to rethink how we do ministry. This is awesome what we got here. God has dropped this. It seems to me like God has dropped this in our life and said, okay, what are you going to do with it? I've never heard such a thing as what God just did for us. I'm just blown away. And God has worked like that in my life for the last 20 years, but He keeps doing stuff that God, are you sure? You remember who I am? I'm Kenny. You sure you want to bless me like this? And so, invite them in. Even the stinky ones.